Hello everyone. Today I wanted to go over Lab 7 phishing slideshow. So this Lab 7's in your exercise directory of your GitHub repository, so you can grab the base files there to get started with this. So I wanted to kind of go over a few things here, and as we're going over things, I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a review on some concepts. Just in case some things that you don't understand or really haven't grasped yet. So kind of get started here with this. So this line here um, is basically all of these here. Let's include all of these here. These are all global. So here we got this global function that we created. And this was in the base class here, the base file. But the variable, the name of this function is $sign. So I know this can kind of sometimes cause a little confusion. So actually, this $sign can be anything that you could want to call this. You could call this something besides that. Let's just say you had a get element. So you could call it that instead of that $sign. So every place where you've got this $sign, you'd have to actually replace with get element, right? So this is just a user created, the developer created variable, and that's how that works. So I just want to make sure, because sometimes you're kind of wondering, what's going on with that, okay? But we'll put it back to the $sign. That's kind of the default, what the authors of the book kind of use there a lot. And then basically, you're passing a variable, and this is your parameter here of selector, and you're using document query selector with that selector that you passed. So then down here on this example, you're using pound my main image. So this, whatever you have that pound or hash, that's an ID for a query selector. If you had, if this would be instead of the hash, if it was a dot, that would be a class, right? A CSS class that you're looking for within the HTML. But in our case, we've got a hash, right? And just also mention, so the other way you could also, if you wanted to get all of the different specific tags, you just go you do it like that. So this would give you all the egg tags. Well, actually, you need to do query selector all on that. So here on this line 5, we've got image cache, and basically what we're doing is assigning this empty array to image cache variable. And so this empty array has, since it's an empty array, it's not null since you've assigned it an actual array. It has a length of 0. Okay, so you're starting out with the image cache with a length of 0. So we have these two variables here. The one was the main image, and here's the caption, and these are both IDs. Let's go take a quick look at the HTML on that. So here is your main image down here, line 25 at the bottom, and then you have a caption here. And so the main image over here on the right side in the on the web page in the browser, here's your image. This is the default image. This is the one we're looking at called release.jpg. It's right here. And here's the caption, catch and release, and that's right here. Okay. Also in here, and I'm going to talk little bit more about this. This is what's from the book. This is the exercise I have, and so they have this image list, and this image list is basically. I really don't like how they did this, and I'll show you here in a little bit. So basically, they're just listing all the images, and later they're coming back and grabbing these. So, but actually, what they're doing with this is they're using. You don't see anything on the page for this, because what they're doing is in the CSS they're hiding that. So for all ULs, right? unordered list, they're displaying none. So it will not display on your page, even though it's in the HTML. In HTML, you will not see it in your browser. Okay, and I'm gonna talk about this a little bit more here in a minute. Why I don't like how they did this here. I'll show you kind of like I think is a better way. We'll probably just continue to use it since people are working on this exercise. But I just wanted to show you something on that. So here we've got, it's best to use this add event listener for a DOM content loaded. And basically you do that so that you're sure that your whole HTML document has been loaded before you start accessing any parts of your DOM, right? Any parts of that page, you want to make sure it's all loaded. So this is the kind of the default way to do that. And next here is we're grabbing all these links from that image list. And that was the one we were just looking at. And I guess we'll just go ahead and go back there. So here, just want to point out we're using a query selector all here, right? So this is going to return array. Whenever you have a selector of all, it's going to return array. Even if it only found one element, it would be an array of one element. But in this case, we have multiple A tags. So this is going to be an array of, in our case, 4. But let's go back and let me show you why. So what it's basically doing, it's grabbing all those links and it's going to grab those images and just kind of put those in array to be able to use later in our slideshow. But the reason I don't really like this, I think this is kind of a hack. You're not really ever using this for display purposes. So here, let me just change this for a minute. So if we make this block and save it, you'll see over here on the right, here's your unordered list of 4 items. It's not going to display anything because that's not the right way to do an image anyhow, right? This is just holding on to this data. And I actually think a better way to do this is to do something like this. And I'm being a little picky here, I know. I just think that that's a little bit too much of a hack. So basically what you could do, you're still going to have to hide these. But, here's a couple images. Let me just save this so you can see it. So they're going to show on this page now because, they're viewable because I'm not hiding them anyway. But maybe what you could do here on this is instead of doing it like this, we can have the images just all listed images here of the ones we're going to be hiding for now and using later. And then here in our CSS, instead of using this UL here, we would just do a dot images, which is our class that we have on that images, and hit save. Yeah, we go back here. I guess maybe this wasn't saved. So here, yeah, we want to display as none, not block. So now we do that. Our images are gone. And I just think this is a little cleaner approach to do this. And instead of doing this, just list them like this and hide them, and then we can call them and use them later. Instead of, I just think this other way is kind of a lot more of a hack. But we're just gonna, for now, we'll just go ahead and use that. That's what the author had. I know I'm being a little picky there. I just wanted to point that out. And it's good to understand what's going on with this because it can kind of be a little confusing when you look at this and wondering, well, why isn't this showing anywhere? It's because it's hidden with the CSS. So I want to go over the for loop here. So we have this links array that's defined up here. Okay. And then so the loop iterates over the links array. And in each iteration, the current element from the links array is assigned to the link variable. All right, so it's going to do this 4 different times. And what we're doing is basically, as you can see, we're creating a new image here. And we've got a source tag for an image and an alt tag. And we're using from the HTML, we're using the href tag, which is the image, and the title here. And we're assigning that to source and alt. Okay. Then we go ahead and populate this image. We go ahead and add this to our image cache, which is going to be 0 because it's a length of 0. And so the first one is going to be 0, and that's going to increment by 1, because once you add 1, it's going to be larger. So each time you add 1, this is going to return 1 more than it did the last time, until it iterates through all these lengths. All right. So here was the base start and pause. Event listeners, this was already supplied. Obviously, I added code here. So in this situation, we've got one for the start button and one for the pause button. And obviously, since you see this pound sign, you know it's an ID. So this is the buttons that are in the HTML page right here: button, start, and your pause button. So basically what we come in here, we're going to come in here, and this is going to get loaded. All these event listeners, they get loaded into memory. You're not actually executing this when you get to this point, when it comes here. You're not really executing this. It's just loading this event listener, and it's just saying, hey, when you click the start button, execute this code, right? So in this case, we have a slideshow timer. And if we go up to the top here, we'll see that it's set to null. So basically, if that was set to a value up there, that would be true here. But since it's set to null, this is going to return false. So you're basically saying by putting the not at the front, I know this can be kind of confusing. You got to get used to that. So when you put that not at the beginning, you're basically saying if this is false, right? Which when it's null, it is false. If this is false, go ahead and execute this code. So when you come in here the first time, it's going to be false. And then you're going to use this, you're going to set that timer to the set interval. And the set interval, what that does here, it's a function in JavaScript that is used to repeatedly execute a given function at a specified interval. It takes two different arguments. The first one is the function to be executed, and in this case, the first one to be executed is run slideshow, and the second one is the time interval, and in this case, our time interval is this 2000. Which is actually, this is milliseconds. So 2000 milliseconds is 2 seconds. So if we change this to 10,000, that would be 10 seconds. If we change it to 1, that would be 1 second. Okay. And so, like I said, this gets loaded, and then once you click that button, it's gonna do the set interval, and it's going to run the slideshow. Okay. And what we're also doing here is disabling or enabling things, depending on. So when we're doing start, it makes sense to disable the start button, because once you start it, you don't want to start it kind of again. You just have the pause. You want the pause enabled. So in this case, we're using the selector, and we're taking that start button, and we're disabling it to true when we start it, and we're taking the pause button, and we're disabled to false, right? Meaning that it's going to be enabled. Here on the pause, when we click the pause button, it's going to say if slideshow timer. So in this case, it's running, it's got a value in it, it's not null, so this is going to evaluate to true. And you use this clear interval, So the clear interval is going to stop the repeated execution. So it's basically going to stop your slideshow. And then you're going to go ahead and you want to go ahead and reset this back to null, so that when you later on, you're going to, if you want to start it again, you're going to come in here and it's going to be null the next time, and then you can go ahead, then you'll go ahead and do this, right? And then in this case, we are disabling the pause button. After we pause it, we're disabling the pause button and we're enabling the start button. So let's just do a iteration here and see. So we hit start, and as you can see, what it's doing is it's going through that image cache, and it's going through that array. It's grabbing that image and it's replacing that in that main image. That main image that's defined here, it's replacing this each time. Let's go ahead and go through that function. So here's the run slideshow. Here, we'll pause this for now. So now I want to go over this run slideshow function. I think we'll go ahead and take a look at that in the Google Chrome developer tools. So first thing I want to do here is I want to go ahead and add a watch on this. So here's our watch variables. I'm going to add a watch on this one. And as you can see, the image counter is 0. So as we come in here, the first thing you're going to do at this first line is what's going to happen here is this function is going to add 1 to the image counter, and then it's going to do a modulus on the image cache length. So as we know, the image cache will have 4 different images in it, so the length will be 4. So I wanted to explain something here on that. So if you come in here, the first time, like I said, it's going to be a 1. So if you do 1 modulus 4, that returns 1. And the reason for that is the way that this works, it says how many times does 4 go into 1? 4 doesn't go into 1, because it's always returns a whole number. So 4 goes into 1 0 times, and what's left over is just a 1. Same thing if you did like a 2 modulus 4 here. So that would be the second iteration. And so same thing holds here. 4 goes into 2 0 times. What's left over? The 2. And we can do that all the way to... so we're going to do the third one, and then when we do the fourth one, what happens on the fourth one is 4 modulus 4. With that return, that goes into 4 goes into 4 one time. What's returned is a 0. So what's going to happen is this image counter is going to go from a 1, and then a 2, a 3, and then after a 3, it's going to go back to 0. So that's how that works, because basically you're doing the modulus. So when this image counter is a 3 and we add 1 more to this, and this becomes a 4, and we have 4 modulus 4, this is going to return 0. That way it can continually run over and over again. Okay, and that's how the slideshow just keeps running over and over again until you stop it. Let's go ahead just real quick and put this in debug mode, just so we can see how this works a little bit. So we're just going to go ahead and start this. And as you can see, we stopped here at the very first iteration. The image counter is a 0. So we're doing a 0 plus 1 is going to be 1. And we're going to do 1 modulus. And then you can see right here, it's showing the length of this is 4. I think we'll just go ahead and go through this one time. So what's going here, it's going to take that image cache and it's going to go the image counter and it's actually going to grab this one here. Because basically that very first one, it's already on the page. The very first one here at subscript 0 is already on the page. So what's going to happen here is going to grab the first one and it's going to take that and it's going to create that image from that one. All right. And then it's going to take main image. If you remember, main image was our ID, our ID for this image in our browser here. That's the ID of this. And so we're changing the source, the image source of that to this one here, which is basically the deer at play, right? Which is the second one. And let me walk through this a little more. So we're doing the same thing. We're changing that alt tag. And then we're doing the caption. We're doing the caption.text content. So that caption is that one that's down there at the bottom on the right-hand side of the browser, catch and release. As you can see though, it already flipped through that deer one. It's already on the deer one now. That's because we already went past where that took place. So right now we're just waiting for this. Once I click this again, it will go ahead and update this one. It will update that caption. So as you can see, deer at play now. And it's going to continue. And so we're going to come up here and we're going to do it again. So it's going to take 1 + 1 is 2. And like I said, that's going to keep on taking place over and over again. Okay? It's going to happen over and over again. It's going to keep calling that slideshow over and over again. All right, until we hit the pause button. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And there we go. It's going to continually flipping through all those images until we hit pause. Okay, I hope some of this helped you a little bit. Explain a little bit what's going on here with that. Please let me know if you have any questions, and have a good day. Thank you.